Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Name 235 in Vishnu Sahasranama, Vahnih. I don't think any of you will know what that name means. It literally means the bearer, one who carries something from one place to another. It is, this word is commonly associated with fire. There are several names for fire, and there are different kinds of fire also. For instance, there's a fire in everyone's stomach. Fire, do an X-ray and you won't find any fire in there. So it's understood that the Vedic definition of fire is broader than that of the English and probably the Russian definition also. Or Sanskrit. That which burns. So, the fire of digestion burns or digests. It breaks down the food which is placed in the stomach. Acid. If you have some concentrated sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid and put it on your hand, then you'll feel a burning, and the skin will start to bubble and react. And the sensation will be one also like, as if the skin had come in contact with fire. So, this definition, that literally means the bearer, and that is applied to fire, with the understanding that oblations which are offered in the fire of sacrifice are carried by Agni, the personality of fire, to all the other different demigods and ultimately to Vishnu. So that would seem to be a function of a servant rather than that of the Supreme Lord, but quite an exceptional servant. It's a unique ability that is only invested in one personality in each universe, to be able to carry the offering which is offered on this plane to the demigods in another plane. So that mystic ability, what we don't understand we call mystic. So that mystic ability, that is invested in Agni Dev, the god of fire, by Krishna. So Krishna is the active principle in everything. This is being stressed in various ways. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes. The sound is being carried by this cube 24. So, in the original sense of the word, he who bears or carries, he carries the weight of the universe that we can hardly imagine. Just like to pick up this, what's that? That's called an iPod or something like that. A cell phone. That is beyond the imagination of an ant. That an ant could not conceive of picking up a cell phone, which for a human being, you don't even think about it. It's not a difficult weight to pick up. Excuse my ignorance. So we may think, well, how is it possible for someone to hold up the universe? But if the ant had sufficient noetic or intellectual ability to think about it, he would think, well, how can someone hold up an iPhone? It's not possible. So Krishna very easily holds up the whole universe. He's the bearer or the supporter of everyone. Then the next name 236, is Anilah. Actually, if you carefully read the Gita and the Bhagavatam, you'll find these words, Vahnih, Anilah. They occur quite often. Srila Prabhupada, if you remember, in the preface to the Bhagavatam, he recommends reading with the Sanskrit, the word-for-word translation, the verse translation, and the commentary. So several times in the Bhagavatam there's description of the creation of the universe, which includes the creation of the elements. So therein and in other places we'll find these terms used for fire, and Anilah means air. Vahnih is fire and Anilah is air. Everyone who hasn't yet turned off their cell phone, kindly do so now. So, Anilah is air. So, Krishna is the air. So, you can't get away from Krishna. Or Krishna is always with us. So, there are many interpretations of how Krishna is the air. There are many points made about this by the commentators. This name will again come as name 818. So the first meaning given is the giver of life breath. So from the Taittiriya Aranyaka, there's stated, Tadeva Agni Tadvayuhu. So that he's fire and air is there supported in the Shruti, in the Vedas. It's stated in the Vedas. Yeah, that or he is fire and air. This is stated in the Vedas. Aranyaka, I mispronounced that. So, life, breath, we all require air to breathe and live. So that air is given by Krishna and is Krishna. You see, the child is in the womb, and as soon as it comes out, immediately it has to start breathing. So if we're very Krishna conscious and we remember all these descriptions of Vishnu Sahasranama, then we cannot but see Krishna everywhere and in everything. Every time we breathe in, Krishna. And every time we breathe out, Krishna. And then if we hold the breath within, then we can think, we cannot but be in contact with air. The air is inside our body, outside our body. So just as we're always in contact with air, the body is always in contact with air, so we, the living being, are always in contact with Krishna. So other meanings given to this, giving a different etymological derivation, one who needs no goading to help his devotees. Goading. The word goad means, Sanskrit is ankush, and it means the, something like that, yeah, it means the little stick that's stuck into an elephant to make it move around. That's called a goad. Krishna needs no goading to help his devotees. Even if the devotees don't pray to Krishna, they should know that if they are fully surrendered to him, that surely Krishna will protect me. That's why the very highest level of devotee doesn't pray to Krishna even for protection or deliverance from difficulties. But there may be other devotees who are also advanced devotees who do pray to Krishna for some help. The well-known story is there of Gajendra, who in his previous life was the king Indradyumna, but circumstantially he became cursed to become an elephant. And when his foot was caught in the water by a crocodile, he prayed, remembering the Vishnu that same Vishnu who he had worshipped in a previous life. He called out to Vishnu. But if we see those prayers of Gajendra, it's not like he's saying, come on, save me, help me. But mostly he's just glorifying Vishnu. So Vishnu immediately came from Vaikuntha. It wasn't that he was just lying around and then Lakshmi had to say, come on, get up. He was just, I'm just having a nap, I don't want to go now. I'm fed up of being God, why don't you find someone else to be God? But immediately, when Gajendra called, he immediately called, okay Garuda, let's go. Jumped on the back of Garuda and went down immediately. My devotee is distressed. This is an intolerable situation for Lord Vishnu. I must immediately go to help him. Similarly there are hundreds and thousands of examples. With Prahlad, of course, Nrsimha didn't come immediately. He let Hiranyakashipu's offenses ferment. And practically Hiranyakashipu called Nrsimha to come. Prahlad was quite content. But it was Hiranyakashipu who said, is your God in that pillar? Prahlad said, yes. So Nrsimha thought, Prahlad said, I'm in the pillar. Okay, I'd better be in the pillar. So he didn't need to be whipped into coming to helping his devotees. And even to bless his devotees, it's not that one has to do anything but serve Krishna with a pure heart, with pure love. Persons who have no love for Vishnu, they may perform elaborate sacrifices with the aim of invoking his benediction so that they can enjoy this insignificant material happiness. But those who are pure devotees, they won't perform such elaborate sacrifices. But even if they do so only for the pleasure of Vishnu. But he doesn't require that this very elaborate sacrifices be offered. If with love we offer him a leaf, flower, fruit or water, or simply chant his name, he will be satisfied. And the pure devotees, they offer a leaf, flower, fruit and water to Vishnu, but they're not asking for anything from him. It's not that they're offering something and thinking what they want to get back from him. They simply offer bhakti and they simply are happy to offer with love to Krishna. That is the exalted consciousness of the pure devotees. And in reciprocation, Krishna gives himself to the devotee. He doesn't need to be pushed into doing that. Automatically, by his own nature, he will give himself to his devotee as the devotee gives himself to Krishna. So another meaning of this is the beginningless. So I'm not going to speak on that because that's spoken of elsewhere. And another meaning is one who is not bound, he's unaffected by virtue and vice. some extremely foolish people, they like to comment on Krishna's character as if he was an ordinary person. They may say, well, he did some good things. Speaking Bhagavad Gita, that was quite good, but so many bad things he did also. But Krishna's speaking Bhagavad Gita was not an act of punya, of pious activity. Nor does anything he do can be sinful. His activities are in a completely different category to that of the bound souls. Someone who performs materially pious activities has to take birth in this material world to get the result of that. And one who performs sinful activities is also bound in this world because they have to take the reaction of that. So Krishna is not bound by any activities. Namang karmani limpanti. Krishna, this means the same thing, Bhagavad Gita. So in the same way, that's comparable to the air which blows here and there. There's that shloka in Bhagavad Gita, Vayo Gandha Ivashyat. What's that? I can't remember the first line, but the idea is that different smells are carried here and there by the wind. But the wind is not affected. We may think, well, the air smells bad or it smells nice, but the air is simply a medium for carrying things here and there. The air itself is neutral to any good or bad smells. So now that's also stated in Bhagavad Gita. Vayu sarvatra go mahan. The wind blows everywhere. So Krishna compares himself to the wind. He's present everywhere. So other meanings given, one who is beyond dissolution. Dissolution means destruction. It's a specialized term for destruction. It's the noun that goes with dissolve, I believe. So that's an important name of Krishna, which is also there in Vishnu Sahasranama. And in Bhagavad Gita several times, avyaya, which means that he doesn't become expended. So just as the air blows everywhere, but it remains air. The air blows all over the planet, but it doesn't become decreased by doing so. So another meaning is one who is omniscient. The air is inside and outside of everything. The air sees everything. Now we understand from Vedic knowledge that the elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, as well as other phenomena such as the directions, the sun and the moon, they are not simply materially quantifiable phenomena, but they are personalities. So everything we do is seen. Is seen. S-E-E-N. We may think that secretly we are performing some activity. We can get away with it. But the air is a witness. Ever-present fire is a witness. The sun and the moon are witnesses. The directions are witnesses. Yamaraj is a witness. Brahma is a witness. And ultimately Vishnu is a witness. So, at least within this universe, air is omniscient. So, fully omniscient is Vishnu. So this is another way in which the air is comparable to Vishnu and is described as Vishnu. So another understanding about the air is that the air has no fixed place. Where does the air live? Well, everywhere. No fixed resident. So in the same way, Vishnu, although he pervades everything in this world, he has no fixed place in this world. He doesn't belong to this world at all. Now, another quality of air is that it's easily accessible. You want some air? Just breathe it in. How much do you want? The air is easily accessible. So in the same way, for people who want Krishna, Krishna makes himself available. And then another point about the air is that the air is quite independent. The air blows all around the earth, but the air is not supported by the earth. So in the same way, Krishna is all-pervading within the universe. But he's not dependent on anything within this universe. And when Krishna comes to this world, he's not dependent on anything or anybody. He remains the independent personality of Godhead. Now, one name just was there of Vishnu. Samvrita means he who is hidden. But one of the understandings about air, which is also we can just describe about Vishnu, is not hidden.
He's not hidden.
Not hidden, yeah. The air doesn't hide away. He's present everywhere. So Krishna is all-pervading and available, so he doesn't hide away. And if you want to teach your child something, you can teach they shouldn't put their legs out like this. Especially, you can start from a young age to teach all these things. One characteristic of Vishnu is that he's hidden, Samvrita. Another characteristic is that he's not hidden. He's Anilah, just like the air. So, everyone can understand this? Doesn't fit our logical way of thinking. Well, take out all your big logic books and throw them on the Vahnih, on the fire. Because you won't find Vishnu through logic. This Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana, this Vishnu Sahasranama is an exposition of Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana, scientific knowledge of the godness of God. It's not illogical, but it's superlogical, means it transcends ordinary logic. It's completely logical to understand that Vishnu hides himself from those he doesn't want to reveal himself to. And it's also completely logical to say that he is not hidden because he's present everywhere. He's present everywhere, but you just need a little key to understand how to access him. That key is Bhakti. Now, another meaning of Anilah, who is always awake. The air doesn't go to sleep. We go to sleep, but the air keeps on. The air is available for us. So even when we go to sleep, then we're still within Krishna. We're still supported by Krishna. And if we sleep very deeply, we go to Krishna in his form of Brahman, impersonal Brahman. So we can have some that Brahman realization is like a deep sleep, according to the Vedanta commentators. That he's not supported by the earth. Well, one name of the earth is Ila. So Krishna existed before the earth came into being. So in this way we can understand that Krishna is not of the earth. He's not a product of the earth. These bodies that we have, they are produced from the earth. As is famously stated in the Bible, dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. But Krishna's body is not produced of this earth. What is in the body? That was some time ago, when the blood, the bones. Some time ago, those same chemicals might have been in some carrot. The carrot the carrot is a transformation of earth, and that becomes transformed into the blood of the body. And Krishna, his form is completely transcendental, Satchidananda. Krishna will also eat the carrots which you offer to him, but he's not dependent on your carrots. His body is not made of Markovki, is it? Yeah, so plural. Yeah? It's not made of Markovka or Markovki. Either way you say it. It's Satchidananda Vigraha, not carrot Vigraha. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chanchalang himana Krishna pramati balavadridham tasyaham nigraham manye vayariva sudushkaram. The air is mentioned several times in Bhagavad Gita. In this verse, Arjuna says that the mind seems to me as difficult to control as the wind. So who can control the wind? There's a strong wind coming, a big storm, and you'll go out, big strong man goes out there and tries to stop the wind. It's a ridiculous proposition. Big strong men with big strong bodies, they become very proud because they can pick up some weight. But the wind is much stronger than them. They can't even imagine stopping the wind. So in the same way, Krishna is so powerful that all the big strong men put together can't do anything to stop him. And even by any scientific means, technological means, you can't stop the wind blowing. And what we call the natural forces, they're more powerful than man can control. So Krishna, being all powerful, he is beyond anyone's control, and therefore he's independent. But at the same time, he fully responds to his devotees. Hiranyakashipu, for all his power, could not control Krishna. He couldn't, definitely couldn't, not at all. But Prahlad, who had no such physical strength or strength of austerities, simply by offering prayers to Nrsimha, he satisfied him. Now someone might you might think, now I'm controlling air. You get one container, you get a box and you close it, and you think, now I got the air locked in that box. Well, in one sense it's true that you've got air under control, but you can't do anything with it. And the vast mass of air outside the box is not under your control. So in the same way, Krishna allows materialistic people to have a tiny little bit of power, and then they think, just see, I'm in control here. Someone might become the president of a country, and they think, I'm controlling the country. But they can't control everything that's going on in the country. They can't even control their own passing stool. If they have to go, well, and if they want to go and they can't, then also they're in it. They can't control it either way. They may have the feeling, I'm in control of this country, but they can't control everything all the citizens do. They can't control all the natural forces within the country. And so we see great countries like America, the United States and Britain, and Germany, they also have floods, tornadoes, droughts. So someone might think, I'm in charge of this country, I'm very powerful. But the country is like a little box inside our house. It's just a little speck in the universe. Even the biggest country on earth, what's that country? Russia. It's just a little speck in the universe. So someone may think, I'm in charge of it. I'm controlling Russia. For a very short time, in the whole of eternity, they have this illusion of being in control of what actually is a little speck. But Krishna is actually controlling everything in the universe. And he also gives someone, they want to have the illusion of being in charge of a big country. Okay. If someone has that childish desire to think, I am in charge here, and Krishna says, okay, alright, you be in charge. But it's a very poor imitation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should discuss about Him. So that's a few meditations on the name Anilah, air. Or it can mean other things also. The usual meaning is the air. That never sleeps. So like the sun, the wind, the moon, they're always observing everything. So any one of these names can be analyzed in various ways to further understand the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So name 237 is Dharanidharah. That's what's the name? There's the alliteration is the dha. So dhara means who holds. It's the male. It's derived from the same root as the word dharma, that which holds. So dhara means one who holds, and dharani also means one who holds. Dharani is the female form, and dhara is the male form. So dharani means the earth, Mother Earth. She holds everything on the earth. She holds the mountains and the oceans and the forests and the living beings. So she really holds a lot. And some people, recognizing that the earth is our mother, they become earth worshippers. But more intelligent is to worship Dharanidharah, the holder of the holder. The holder of the earth. So, this name has two main obvious interpretations. One is the Anantashesh, holds up all the planets, and the earth is there also. And the other is Varahadev, who picked up the earth. So there are several names in Vishnu Sahasranama which give the sense of holding up the earth. Mahi Bharata, Mahi is another name for the earth. There are several common names for the earth in Sanskrit. I remember once I met a Pandit in Kathmandu, Nepal, and he just said some verse which gave all the meanings of all the names of the earth. So Dharani is one of them. Prithivi, Medini, Bhumi, Ila, and Mahi. Yes, and there are several others which I don't know, can't think of just now. So Mahi Bharata, Mahidhara, Triloka Dhrit, one who holds all the three worlds. Dharanidharah, another female form of the word Dharani is Dhara. So they all give this, all these names give the same sense of he who supports or holds the earth. Another similar name is Vishvadrik, one who holds up the whole universe. So the earth is within the universe, so the earth is also included in that name. So we may say, well, why give different names which mean the same thing? Dharanidharah, Dharanidharah, Mahibharta, these all, Mahibharta, they all give, all these names have more or less the same meaning. So why repeat them? Well, why not? If you're enchanted by someone, then you like to praise them in all possible ways. Apart from that, all these names have slight nuances of meaning. Just like, for instance, Bharta, that means not only one who supports, but it gives the sense of being the husband. And it's also very nice and poetic to hear all these different names. For instance, another example is that in Sanskrit there are many words for lotus. Padma, Pankaja, Kamal, and brain dead. Aravind. So, Padma. There are many words, but now my brain's half dead, so I can't think. And then there are many words for eye also. Nayana, Netra, Aksha, Chakshu, and some others which I also can't think of just now. So, by combining these two words, we can have many names which mean lotus-eyed. So there's a common name for Krishna, Padmalochana. Means, I didn't say the word lochana. Means lotus-eyed. So we can also say Kamala Lochana, or we can change the other form also. We can say Padmanayana, Padmanetra, Padmaksha. So it all means the same thing. But we like to hear all these different names. And Krishna, he also likes to hear them. So we're not just some dry reductionist, the bhakti is not some dry reductionist process. I don't know how to say. Reductionist? It's a philosophical term, I suppose. We just try to reduce it. Yeah, you just reduce everything to the minimum. Like you just do just like there's a school of architecture, what's that, Bauhaus or something, where they just functional, that's all. No aesthetics at all, just functional. Under the influence of which, under the whole communist world, they had these horrible looking, blocks of flats, which are just, just functional, that's all. No aestheticism whatsoever. But bhakti is not like that. Krishna is very beautiful, and he's a connoisseur of everything wonderful. So everything nice for Krishna. Krishna has many beautiful names by which the devotees remember his beautiful qualities. And by calling out these names to Krishna and by discussing them, Krishna, not only are we reminded of that, Krishna is also reminded. Of course he already knows, but he likes to hear again. Oh yeah, I'm the holder of the earth. Yeah, that's a good name. I like that one. So Krishna takes pleasure in his devotees taking pleasure in him. Madchita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katiyantas chamang nityang tushanti charamanticha. Devotees whose mind is absorbed in Krishna, whose life has gone, whose literally Madgata Prana, whose life air has gone to Krishna. They enlighten each other about Krishna. And they're addicted. They do it a lot. They discuss Krishna a lot. And they're just completely satisfied and blissful by doing this. There's a narration of the three of the first alvas, or the patriarchs of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. So on one dark rainy night, one of them found there was a tiny little shelter, just enough space for one person. So he went in there. And then someone else came along and said, "Any space in there?" "No." "Anyway, try and squeeze in." Then someone else came along and said, "Any space in there?" It's raining and pouring at night. "Definitely no. Not a space to put even a kopeck. But anyway, you could try get in." So there they were, all squeezed up, three strangers. And they're all great devotees of Vishnu. And it was their natural tendency to talk about Vishnu. So in this way they discovered each other. That in the whole world there are so few devotees of Vishnu. But they all, by his arrangement, they all came together and mutually glorified him. So Krishna is the bearer of the earth. That name just came up, that he's the bearer. Vahnih, that one meaning is that he bears. And specifically the bearer of the earth. He doesn't just hold up the earth, but he supports everything that's going on in the earth. And he supplies the food and the air and everything else that all living beings need. He takes responsibility to support all living beings, even those who have turned against him. So just like the mother is looking after the child very carefully. So that is a function that is derived from Krishna, who looks after everyone very carefully. Yeah, any questions about this? Specifically about this that we've been talking about this morning?
In Russian and in Tatar language, they have this name Il. In Tatar it means earth.
Il means land in Tatar, so that's derived from Sanskrit. Ila means the earth.
And in Russian, Il means the black earth.
Il means the black earth, or silt. Silt, that black silt on the bottom of the river is very rich well, the river deposits it, but if you can take it out, and that becomes very good agricultural land. Yeah, it doesn't need any fertilizer, it's so rich. All Krishna's arrangement. The rivers deposit silt. But then the men who are more intelligent, they build a dam, and downstream all the farmers are deprived of silt. And they have to make an elaborate arrangement to remove the silt because it blocks up the turbines for hydroelectric power. And then they sell it to the farmers who don't have it.
There are so many names of Vishnu and Krishna, so why we are so focused on chanting Hare Krishna, and what is the origin of Hare Krishna?
Say it. Yeah, all names are complete in the name Krishna. What is the origin of Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna. Well, just got originated there. Every time you say, it's original, ever fresh. So, Krishna is eternal. But every time you feel inspired to say Hare Krishna, Krishna is newly, freshly originating from the bhakti in your heart.
When Dinabandhu was describing, was lecturing in Vrindavan, then это он сказал, что раньше. He said that before Hare Krishna started with Hare Ram, and then Lord Chaitanya changed it. But why nobody knows? Do you happen to know?
You can say it in Russian. Chanting Hare Krishna first is eternal. Sometimes in some tiny part of one universe, there may become a convention to chant it with Hare Rama first, which is also eternal, to chant Hare Rama first. So from our very limited perspective, seeing in terms of time, as we are told in the schools that history just began 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, and so it might appear that Lord Chaitanya changed something, but he didn't really change it. He just reinstituted the eternal dharma of chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The poet Allen Ginsberg, American poet, he once went to India and he heard some people chanting Hare Krishna. And he came back to America and started chanting Hare Krishna to the same tune that he'd heard people chanting in India. Later, he met Bhaktivedanta Swami, who also chanted Hare Krishna. And Allen Ginsberg said, oh, he's chanting in a new tune. It's not a new tune, it's just that Allen Ginsberg didn't know it. He was not familiar, he has only a very, very limited contact with the culture, so he only ever heard one tune. So he may think Lord Chaitanya introduced something new by introducing the chanting Hare Krishna first, but that's just our limited perspective. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.